What's up, guys? Thought I would just jump on here and talk about a common symptom that we often deal with as entrepreneurs, which is overwhelm, or another way it's often referred to is brain fog. And so the symptom, when you look at what causes overwhelm for most entrepreneurs, 9 times out of 10, the root cause of that is something called switching cost. And you might be familiar with switching costs when it comes to switching your cell phone provider or switching software within your business, where you have to go through the contract, you have to, go through the scheduling of shifting the hardware, go through the pricing tables, you have to potentially learn a new set of software, you have to migrate the old data and you have to map it to the new data, all that kind of stuff, right? Huge switching costs because it takes time, it takes focus, energy, and resources. And that's why it's called switching cost. And when you look at the typical root cause of overwhelm for most entrepreneurs, it's that, right? You're wearing multiple hats, you're switching from sales to marketing to operations to finance, you're jumping into an interview over here, and all of these little shifts, they're called switching costs because there's, if you look at manufacturing, the world of manufacturing, every time you switch an operation, you have to shut down the equipment, you have to switch over your tooling in many cases, whatever that looks like, and there's some time and there's some cost to doing it. So that's why it's cheaper to do a large run of something when you're printing or when you're making something, so you can ramp up. Now the same is true in your brain when it comes to switching costs, because when you're context shifting, you need to understand your environment and then ramp up, right? There's a little bit of a tax that you pay mentally. And so the solution that, this was my big epiphany years ago was, and I repeat it probably every single day, repeat after me, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when it comes to how you hire, when it comes to how you quote, when it comes to how you document processes, all of these things, if you focus on, how you do one thing is how you do everything, meaning that every time you do it, you just do it the same way. How you structure your weekly meeting, if you do it the same way every time, you're going to eliminate 90% of these switching costs where you're trying to get a grasp of your current situation, because it's different every time. And this stems back to a quote by W. Edwards Deming, where he says, "A bad system beats a good person every time." So you and your team might have best intentions, but even a bad system, meaning that if you're just doing things the same way every time, is going to eliminate that switching cost, and that's better. Just doing something terribly the same way every time is better than doing it randomly every time, where everybody does it a different way. So if you look at your business, think in terms of, I've used this example before. Look at a flower, look at nature, right? Look at the petals on a flower, they're the same, right? So when you're scaling something, it's the same every single time. It's not different every time. So think about every action in your company. The goal should be, how you do one thing is how you do everything, so that you can eliminate for you, for your team members, and for your customer, how you do one thing is how you do everything, so that you can standardize, and you're going to eliminate all of that switching cost, which is eating up all of that bandwidth in your brain. And that's why you feel overwhelmed as an entrepreneur, and that's why you feel exhausted at the end of the day, because of that thing called switching cost. Anyways, hope that's helpful. Again, the mantra, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Focus, progress over perfection, right? Focus on one area at a time, knock it down, move to the next. Hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon.